Hi, how are you? I'm Dr. Muso. Today we want to talk about slave trade. Our question reads: name any five West African states that supplied slaves during the time of slave trade. So, which were the West African states which had to supply slaves during this time of slave trade? Number one, we had Dahomey. We also had Asante. We also had Oyo, the Oyo state. We also had the Gold Coast, which is now known as Ghana. We also had Benin. We also had Nigeria, Senegal, Gambia, and also Upper Guinea. So these were some of the West African states that supplied what slaves during the time of slave trade. Number B, we want to describe the political effects of a slave trade. Number one, we see that weak states were destroyed due to slave raids. So weak states now they to collapse because of the slave raids that were taking place. We also see that people were captured and they were also sold as slaves. So many people were captured and they were sold as slaves. Number three, there was increased welfare. People were fighting due to the need to have these slaves. So we see fighting taking place because they wanted to be in a position to have slaves. There was also flooding of firearms. Firearms for fighting against each other, they had to flood during this particular period of time. We also see that the welfare, it became bloodier. People were killing each other. These killings increased because of the need to possess or to have slaves. We also see that there was the rise of powerful states as a result of slaves. As a result of this slave trade that was taking place, you talk about the rise of Asante, the rise of Dahomey, the rise of Oyo. All these states were in West Africa. There was also loss of power by the defeated kings. Those kings that were defeated, they lost their power. There was also corruption in African judiciary system. Corruption became rampant in African judiciary system. And lastly, we see that the issue of slave trade, it strained political relations between states. States were no longer in good books because of this issue of slave trade. That is what we have on slave trade. Thank you. I'm Dr. Muso.